Alright, hello guys, welcome back to another video. Today we'll be talking about number 200 of the Leetcode problem set. It's called Number of Islands. This is a medium problem and I actually quite like it, so I'm gonna give it a thumbs up. Oh, okay, never mind. Alright, anyways, so given a 2D grid of map, given a 2D grid map of ones and it's a char as seen right here. Ones represent land, and then zeros basically is water, and then count the number of islands. An island is surrounded by water and is formed by connecting adjacent lands horizontal or vertically. You may assume all four edges of the grid are all surrounded by water. So the important getaway from this paragraph is that it wants you to do adjacent lands are connected horizontally and vertically or vertically. So what this means is if you have a diagonal, say you have a one, you have a one here and then a one here, then that would not be counted as the same island. So let's take a look at example one. So it has this 2D char array, and then you can see here that it's just all one giant connected island. So right here, but as you can see right here, example two, there's three islands, and we'll take a look in here. All right, so right here I've marked the three distinct islands. One is here, one is in the middle, and then one is at the bottom. So what we can tell from here is again, these this one and this one forms a diagonal, so it's not counted. Same as here, so there's three distinct islands. All right, and then so let's look at the solution for this problem. All right, for this problem, it is optimal to use a BFS-ish approach. By BFS, I mean breadth first search. So you search around the input that you're given. So first, you want to start from a position. It could be 0, 0. It could be at the end of the array. It doesn't really matter, but you just have to finish traversing the whole array. So you start out from a value, and then you recurse the surrounding cells of that 2D array, and then modify them to a different number. All right, this part's important. You want it to a different number. That means it's not 0 and it's not 1. And the array is a char, so you could potentially make it in letters, but it doesn't really matter. For today, I'm actually going to change that to char 2 for simplicity's sake. And then basically you want to mark it so then you know that it's been traversed. And then this will keep running until it reaches water 0 and or the number that you set. And by keep running, I mean it'll keep recursing. So in the function, it'll keep recursing until it reaches these two conditions. And then after this, you count the number of times you called the BFS the first time. All right, remember the first time. That means you don't count every time it recurses. You count the time you call the function, and then we'll see that in a second here. Okay, so basically, I'm just gonna walk through what it would look like to use my solution. So let's just pull this over there, and then get our handy tool ready. So obviously, it's probably the best to start at 0, 0, because if you don't, then it'll be some work to do. So either start from 0, 0 right here, or start from right here. All right, any of these two are fine. So um, you started out here at 0, 0. Like, okay, there we go. So you started out at 0, 0 right here, and then you're gonna call this BFS function that recurses to the surrounding cells. So obviously, these two are outside of the grid, so it automatically returns. And then here, this gets marked to a different number. In this case, it's 2. This also gets marked as 2. All right, so now that we've traversed these two will keep traversing. So obviously, this is not in the array, and then um, this gets marked, and then this is a 0, so it doesn't matter. All right, so now we get to this one, right? Alright, this one goes down here and then sees that's the other number, so ignores it, and then everything else, obviously there's nothing here. It meets the 0, and basically, yeah. So then what happens if you, and then you traverse the array, blah, 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 until you reach another 1. And then in this case, you get here, traverse 0, 0, 0, 0, so doesn't matter. And then you keep going. So, and then you see this one here, and then traverse doesn't matter, doesn't matter, doesn't matter, and then marks that as a 2. All right, so now that you've realized that we've actually traversed this array 3 times, or called the first function 3 times, so 3 distinctive islands. And that's how we're actually going to approach this problem. All right, now let's get started to coding it. Let's move this back onto the bottom. All right. So I'm actually going to start by coding the recursive function. So I'll call it traverse, and then it takes in grid, int I, and then int j. So first, of course, you want to check for a few things here. One of the things that we have to check first is to see if it's outside of the array. So in this case, if it is outside of the array, you return. Well, okay. So either it's if I is smaller than 0, or if I is greater or equal to grid.length, or j is smaller than 0, or j is greater than grid0.length. So these are the first few solutions that we're gonna look for. So right here, if I is less than 0, or I is greater or equal to grid.length, then or if j is less than 0, or if j is actually larger or equal to grid 0.length. Okay, so now that we have these covered, we just basically return, because it's a void, you can return empty, so basically breaks out of the function. And then now we have to get to another part. So basically, if you reach a 0 like this, or if you reach a number that's been marked, you also break. So here, if grid at I and then at j is equal to 0, or if grid at I and at j is equal to 1, sorry, to 2, because that's the number that we're going to mark. Also return it out. So now that these two break conditions are accounted for, what we need to do next is modify the array and then traverse every single surrounding cell. So we just make this one number that you want, the char that you want, sorry, could be A through Z, doesn't matter, but just to let you know, if you change this, then make sure to change this as well, or your program will not work. So now we need to get to traverse the surrounding cells. So there's gonna be 4 surrounding cells. So I'm just gonna create 4 empty ones right now, and then I'll fill those later. So the first one is gonna be grid I plus 1, and then same j. Second one is obviously gonna be grid I minus 1, j, and then grid I j plus 1, grid I j minus 1. Alright, so that's how you traverse through these. Just a reminder that don't put the same traverse function twice. That will be bad for the program, and it will cause it to not work. So just make sure that you're not repeating anything here, and you'll be fine. So after we call these 4 recursive functions, we're basically done with our traverse function. We can move on to our main code. So in here, you basically want to, of course, create a int return type, int return value, which I'll call res, and then I'll set that as 0. So now we're gonna have to start start traversing through the array. So grid line length and then I plus plus, and then we're also gonna have a j equals 0. J is less than grid dot length, grid 0 dot length. All right. So which brings me to a good point here. Um, 0, don't have to use 0. You can use I, but since it's gonna be a rectangular 2D array, 0 is fine. All right. So now basically to remember what I said here about counting it once every time you call it the first time, well, it's gonna be in use here. So what happens if grid at I and j is equal to 1, that is gonna be the first time you're gonna do it. So you can just increment count, and then you can traverse the grid. Yeah, grid I and then j, and then that's it. That's it. And this works because see here, the first time you enter it, this is always a 1 and it'll stay a 1. And then it gets these, so these all get changed to 2s. So when you traverse these, it's not going to be a 1, so you will not increment your count. And then same as here and then here. All right, and then once you end up with 3 again. So now we finished traversing through the array. What we need to do is return res, and we should be done with the problem. Let's run the code and see. Um, Looks like we have oh yeah, that is my bad. So I forgot to put the char there. And then we have this issue, which is if it's equal to, oh, I misspelled grid. Okay, now it should be good. All right, looks like it passed. Let's submit. Looks like we did well. Pass is 99.95%, which is fairly good. And then here are some other suggested questions that you can check out. All right, and basically that concludes our video today of walking through the solution to a number of islands. If you want to see more recursive videos about recursion, make sure to check out my recursion playlist. If you want to learn more programming tricks like dynamic programming, make sure to check out my channel and go click on those videos. If you liked my video today, make sure to like this video and subscribe. And I'll see you next time.